We are getting real close to me being able to sit on this tailgate. In the end of the last episode, we got to the straps that run on the side, and 5 o'clock Friday, I just didn't have the solution. But we're back, it's Monday morning, and I've already thought of how we're gonna fix this problem. So I've already made up my first template, wasn't quite right. Let's get straight to the bench, cut this out, weld this up, and get these straps fitted off to the tailgate. The issue we came into last time was because of the way I've done the tail light with the indicator, there's very little panel gap. I don't even have the thickness to put a bolt and this through. The way we're gonna fix that is a little bit of metal, and I'm going to modify these bolts that came with the strap originally. They sit through there. If we cut the head of the bolt off, we can then drill a hole through our little piece of metal. We're gonna make this out of metal. We can drill a hole through it, and we'll be able to weld it on the back side. We'll have a little shank with some thread, and then we can just put a nut on it. So pretty simple fix. Probably could have done it Friday if I had thought about it, but I didn't. Big. I had to redesign them a little bit. So you've got the flat on one side and then the flat on the other side, and we've got to have that around that way on the chassis. So that means it's got to be around that way on the tailgate. We want all of this to be on the inside so we don't come past the face. So the next step is cutting these and welding them on. I have also done a little chamfer on the back so I can get the weld to sink in a little bit more. We've got to take that thickness plus that thickness plus the wave washer thickness, cut it out from the end of the shank. Still need to clean up the back, but now we can go spring washer, strap. I allowed room for a little copper washer just so it's not steel against steel. Sick. We can now get that welded onto there, and that can go back to there. We've got this looking pretty schmick. I've cut the thread off, didn't need to film that. The next thing that we've got to address is these bolts, because we need this basically completely flat. So I've gone out and gotten some countersunk screws, but because the countersink is too deep, I've drilled a test piece. You've got to drill through too much of the metal and it'll bust out the side. So we're going to need to add thickness to the inside so then we can get a proper taper on the inside. Now it just so happens that we have the perfect piece for both sides. The bit that we messed up when we were cutting out the internal, cut this in half, cut it down, and then we can just use a section of it to go on the inside. It does mean that we're going to need to recut out the latch and re-drill out the holes, but if we drill out some holes on the outside here and over the top, we'll just be able to plug weld this piece onto the inside. So we'll go to the bench, start cutting this up, working out which bits we need. Oh, so flush. I got that on the right angle. Yes. Sick. So that is this side completely clean on this outside. Maybe a little bit of welding dag, easy enough. But that now means that all of the movement and adjustment needs to be done in the striker. And we do still need to clean out a little bit from here. I think I'll do the other side off camera. So we've got this side all reinforced, And now we have this side all reinforced. Man, that autofocus is doing a horrible job. The support strap and the latch bolted in. The next step, I had to think about it towards the end of yesterday and last night. This gap here is a little bit too big, and the tail lights are a little bit too high in relationship to the indicators, so we need to drop it down. And the easiest way to do that is this bottom panel goes underneath and hooks back up the tailgate, but the tailgate is sitting on that on top of the hinge attached to the chassis. So if we just do a quick mark out, cut that thickness out, we might be able to drop the tailgate down just enough so it's all nice and level, and if it drops it down too much, we can always shim it out. So drop the tailgate, mark it out, cut it out, see where it sits. Might be a little bit difficult to tell on camera, but that side is spot on. This side is still sitting up high, and that's because there's more tension on this one to get this over, and the frame isn't connected to the chassis again yet. So if I put weight on the frame, there's still movement in the gap. I think I'm going to take the tension off this, see where the rear quarter panel is sitting. I need to play around with the gaps just a little bit more. I'm kind of nervous about welding in the frame to the chassis, so I just want to be sure that that is the correct step to do next before I do something in the incorrect order and have to go back and redo it. But that's spot on down that side. Getting real close. That damn compressor. I think we send it. Everyone keep their fingers and toes crossed that this is the correct thing to do. Can't remember what I said last. Can't really remember what I was doing last. You'll notice the car is set up a little bit differently. Wheels off, braced, up on jack stands. We're still having issues with the rear quarter wanting to bow out, and this gets it as close as I can get it to level. It probably needs like that much pushed over, but it does need to be pushed over. I've gone out and gotten some more 75 by 25 to make another brace on the inside, but I think I need to tack some stuff together and see how it wants to sit. I can then template the cross brace, get a design or get the angles right, cut it out, sit it in there, make sure it's going to work, tack it together, then take this off, weld it all up, weld it all back in. I think I'm trying to make a like seamless, perfect situation out of something that can't be seamless, can't be perfect, just because of how much I cut off waiting for the rear quarter panels, not using a car jig to begin with. So I'm just gonna send it. I'm just gonna full send, not full send, maybe like 10% send, which is way more sending than I had done previously. Couple of tacks, get this right, tack it down in the back, see how we go. More finger crossing, please. Need to twist it up first. Got a little bit of 25 by 25 that I'm gonna tack to the base, and then I'll roll this around. Probably need to roll it around at the same time, but I'm hoping that that's gonna be enough to hold it. That did not hold it because that's flexing. I have to close up that hole from the S-hinge. These no longer line up, so the tailgate still needs to come down further. It's pretty good. I've still got to put more reinforcement in there, the cross bit, but like just that little bit of angle is kind of holding it. Oh, thank fuck. That is way better. There is still just a little bit more movement to get it perfectly parallel straight down the line, and I want to get it back on the ground. So we need to put this wheel back on. I've got G clamps holding the panels together. So I'm gonna do a couple of screw holes and then put some clecos in from behind, so then that all holds together. We can then put the wheel back on and drop it back down and see how the panel gap is sitting. Pretty good. That's way better than what it's been. Sick. Thanks, Glenn. That didn't move at all. Yes!